Hey everyone, Chris here, and so I've been talking about the four elements um, for health and fitness. Uh, that's my focus, my area of expertise, and so I've done all of the elements: water, earth, and fire, and now I'm moving on to the air element. So in this system that I made up, basically air would be your detox, fasting, um, deep breathing, your air quality, uh, basically um, your repairing, your repairing and cleansing of your body. And so it's quite literally an opposite of the earth element, where in the earth element you're eating healthy, hopefully, if you've really been listening in. But eating is a much different situation for your body than is fasting. Eating is digestion requires quite a bit of cleanup and processing, and it's fairly a lot of work for the body. So when you fast, like at night, and when you're sleeping, you're not eating. And as we'll get into a little later, hopefully uh, you eat a smaller meal, and it's you've got a buffer in between when you go to sleep. So when you do finally fall asleep, you're fasting, and that cellular repair, the process of autophagy, the cleansing basically that your body does normally on its own, can happen because you're fasting. Whereas when you've constantly got food in your system, it's a hindrance. It's doesn't give your body that ability. Okay, so that's the air element in a nutshell. Let's talk about fasting first. Why is it important? Um, Basically, the problem with our environment in modern day is that we have what you might call forever chemicals, heavy metals, microplastics, that sort of thing. I'm sure if you're tuned in, you've heard quite a bit about these two that I'm mentioning here. But basically, these chemicals, these pollutants are in our food, our air, our water, and our environment. And there's so much, so it's become overwhelming to the human body. So if you were to go back hundreds of years ago, detoxing was easy and happened naturally, and we didn't have to go out of our way to clean up our bodies and get all of the filth out of it. So basically, that's why detoxing is important, is because you, at this point in modern history, we need assistance, extra help. And I'll mention a few solutions here that you can choose from and decide for yourself what you want to try. But that's the basic idea, is anyone who's not at this point in history detoxing in some manner, getting some help from supplements that will kind of speed you along that detoxing ability. If you're not doing that, you're probably overburdened and you're having troubles and health issues that are caused by that. So as a product of that, once you get detoxed, once you're clean or cleaner, you're going to feel better energy. You're going to think clearer. There's a lot of benefits that people just get used to. The same old, and they're just like, this is just the way I feel normally. This fatigue is normal. It's not normal. Your body, when you're in fatigue, is telling you that something's wrong. So let's talk about some of the solutions. I've tried a couple different things. Apple pectin is a simple supplement that you can pick up from just about any natural health store, Amazon, whatever. But it's a really good detoxing agent. Specifically, I've heard for heavy metals and clearing heavy metals out of your body. I have used it personally. I do believe it is efficient and it works. But I do want to be honest here. I came to my conclusions because I had blood work done and I was told that I had heavy metals in my blood in a concentration that wasn't healthy. There was too much. And so I went to work doing some detoxing solutions, and apple pectin was one of the things that I did. So I just got the capsules, and I would take that daily. I think usually twice a day with the apple pectin, and that was I do feel like that was the reason that when I went back to this person that did my blood work, and they looked at my blood and they were like, "You cleared up quite a bit from the last visit." I do believe that the apple pectin was responsible for that. And apple pectin, there's a lot of people that promote the use of that for detoxing, but one of the doctors that I follow closely that have a lot of respect for, Dr. Artis, he has his own brand, his own apple pectin that he sells. So that's one person that feels, one doctor that feels very good about apple pectin's ability to detox. But let me talk about two other things that I've used to detox my body. Specifically, I was going for heavy metals because, like I was sharing with the blood work that I had done, I knew it was an issue, and I wanted to make sure that it was cleared. And so there's two other options that are pretty good. One I'm going to recommend is Avini Health makes a product called Cell Defender. And if you've ever heard of zeolite, zeolite is another detoxing agent that is efficient. And specifically for heavy metals, I hear also for microplastics, it's helpful to use zeolite supplements. So Avini Health Cell Defender is one option. Another option is called Masterpiece. And that one in particular is also shown in studies to be very efficient at removing heavy metals from the body, among several other pollutants, toxins that people will have in them. So there's a couple there. One last one I wanted to mention, though, also is a product that Dr. Artis promotes. And this one is microsomal EDTA. So EDTA is a chelating detoxing agent, and basically it will bind similarly as zeolite does to heavy metals, and then it pulls it out of your body when you excrete. So EDTA, if I remember correctly, it's called calcium disodium EDTA, this form. And you can just get it in supplement form. It's the one I take was like a liquid form of it. And notice they also do capsules, that sort of thing. But I would recommend Dr. Artis's brand of EDTA simply because I did testing and I saw that I got rid of the heavy metals that were in my body. And that's one of the products that I personally used. So that's something I do promote. Okay, so there's three solutions for heavy metals. Apple pectin, Avini Health Cell Defender, and Dr. Artis's EDTA. Now, microplastics has also come onto the radar. People are much more aware of how much of a problem that is. And so plastics, when they break down, eventually end up as microplastics, and they're easily, uh, you can breathe them in, you can drink and eat them through food. Uh, Even clothing, I've heard, has concentrations of microplastics. Um, it's a serious problem. And one of the things that creeped me out the most about it, microplastics in particular, is that in men, it ends up in your testicles. Uh, and obviously causes a lot of issues there. But of all the places, why does it end up there? Disturbing, right? Because then you don't have proper bodily function. So that this whole microplastics thing is something that I feel people need to be a little more proactive about and give your body some extra help to take those microplastics out of the body, because the body tries to detox the best it can, but it needs help because we're so overwhelmed, right? With our environment currently in modern history, modern time. So, Dr. Young in particular is somebody I followed, and he has a microplastics detox regimen. And basically, what he would promote is an alkaline diet, zeolite therapy. So, two different zeolites you can check out: Cell Defender by Avini Health, or Master Peace, as in the opposite of war, Master Peace. And those are two zeolite supplements that supposedly, I've seen the studies that they show that it's removed plastics and heavy metals from people's bodies. And I do have a lot of respect for Dr. Young and the work he's done. And that's one of the products that he recommended. I have tried it personally, the Masterpiece Zeolite blend, and also Avini Cell Defender. I've used both. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure my body was clear. I didn't want to live with the fact that there's heavy metals in my body that my body's having a hard time getting rid of. So I tried a bunch of different things. Can I say exactly which one was responsible for clearing out the heavy metals in my blood? No, that's I'm not a scientist. I can't pinpoint that, and I didn't break it down one product at a time. I did all three of these products at the same time, and so these are the three that I'm saying in me worked. So you can check those out and decide what's right for you. But I would encourage people to look into that. And then finally, Dr. Young also recommends alkaline ionized water for the microplastics detox. So that's what wraps up his personal detox regimen for microplastics. You can learn more about Dr. Young from his website, and he has wrote several books on the alkaline diet, and that's basically what he promotes to stay clean and clear, healthy. Okay, so let's move on. I did want to also mention that plants are a natural air detoxifier. Some of them are better than the others, but you can just look online and find the ones that are a little better for that purpose. Things like, if I remember correctly, spider plants and aloe, oddly enough, are good air detoxifiers. What else? I have a little fern, and I believe that one is also a good air detoxifier. Now, I know a lot of people aren't into plants and you don't want to take care of plants. I do have a couple, but you have to take care of them. And so if you don't want to do that, another option would be to get a good air purifier device. Now, I've bought cheap devices off of Amazon that I wasn't impressed with, basic air filters and that sort of thing, and I wasn't impressed. But the folks over at Air Water Healing have some really incredible products, and one of the things they specialize in is air detoxification, air cleansing. So if you're looking to detoxify your bedroom, your rooms in your house, that can be done with a simple air purifier device. I would recommend Air Water Healing. They have several different options. Many are affordable. Some of them are very expensive, and they're intended to be like a whole house kind of filtering solution. But that is what I would recommend if you don't like plants, and perhaps even utilizing both to get the best quality air in your home that you can breathe. That would be a good idea. I guess the other thought that goes with that is that nature doesn't need devices to purify the air. That's what plant life does in nature, is it purifies the air. Which also is, have I gotten more into this four element construct idea, is it's cool to see how things balance each other out. So, earth plant growth is purifying for the air. So you can see there's several different situations with the four elements where you can see that the opposites are actually helping each other. But in my system, you'll focus on one thing at a time, one element at a time, and work that. And then it's just funny, it's interesting to see how the two benefit each other. For instance, a small example here. So the fire element is exercise, sun exposure. These things are energizing and good for your health. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, water, which I associate with sleep and water purification, water quality, also benefits from you having a normal regimen of exercise. That makes it easier to go to sleep at night. So you can see how they balance each other out. So anyways, back to the air elements. Another thing I wanted to talk about is fasting. So fasting has many modalities, and I like to keep things simple. I do. Occasionally, I get into the complexities. I think you need to sometimes. But then after you've done the complex and you've made it simple, I find that beneficial in my life. So where I'm going with this is basically, especially in the beginning stages, keep your fasting simple. Don't do anything crazy, especially if you're doing strength training like I teach. The thing is, there's only so much fasting you can do while still giving your body the amount of food it needs to do the strength training. So what I suggest is to just use the stop eating 3 hours before bed method. So make sure you 3 hours before you go to sleep, you stop eating. You have your last meal. Make it a good one. Not huge. A smaller meal, just meet your macronutrients, carbs, protein, fat, so that your body has what it needs to prepare for sleep. But you need that little buffer. And what that buffer is going to do is it's going to allow your body to switch over into cellular repair mode, basically to repair your cells in your body. And also, it enables your body to better detox in several different ways. But that's the key. You need that 3 hour buffer before you go to sleep. And then by the time you go to sleep, your body has finished digesting the majority of what you've done, or all of it you've eaten. And then it allows you to go to sleep. Your body detoxes. Your body gets that cellular repair that it needs. And so that's why you do that. But that's easy, right? What's difficult is doing these windowed eating, one meal a day, which is an extreme example, but that's like for Dr. Gundry, that's what he's moved to over years of practicing fasting. And so the windowed eating, if you're only eating from, let's just say you eat lunch, that's what you do, and you're doing some serious fasting. Well, that's going to be really difficult for your body to produce the energy you need for strenuous strength workouts. So that's why I'm a fan of the stop eating 3 hours before bed method of fasting. Simple, easy, anyone can do it. If you're struggling, I do have a suggestion. As after you eat that last meal and you've got your 3 hour buffer between when you go to sleep, drink plenty of water. Okay, water is fine. And then if you take the supplement inulin, which is a prebiotic fiber, that will allow your body, your gut, to acknowledge that everything's okay. We've got what we need, and you can rest peacefully. So that's my main suggestion and the method that I use for fasting. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly mention that the reason fasting is important. Basically, fasting for our ancestors was just a normal part of life. They didn't have grocery stores and refrigeration. They didn't have our modern conveniences. And so if you think about what their life was like in comparison to ours, it's completely different. Unless you're practicing fasting, then you're a little closer to what your ancestors did. But the reason that fasting and all forms of hormesis, as they call them, are important is because it's that idea of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Struggle, okay? So when you have struggles in life, let's take fitness because it's an easy example to see. When you work out every day, or if you just work out as a habit throughout the week, when you do that, it challenges your muscles, and you'll actually, when you get that really good workout, it damages the muscle fibers, and then they have to rebuild, and that's literally what makes it stronger, is the struggle, the difficulty. Now, there's obviously an extreme that you can go to with that. So the idea is that you want to give your body some difficulty, some challenge, so that it becomes stronger. Now, again, going with the fitness thing, another form of hormesis is basically just oxygen deprivation. Now, I'm not talking about trying to suffocate yourself. I'm talking about when you do a workout, what happens? Your oxygen levels, if you're doing intense training, you have less oxygen, okay? Because it's difficult work and you're putting your energy into it, right? And so that struggle is actually training your body to be stronger. And it's through that struggle that you train your body to become strong. So that's the way you should also think of fasting, is that you don't fast because you're trying to get as skinny as possible. That's not healthy. You fast because you want your body to heal properly. And this is one method in which you get that result. So with that said, I'd just like to remind people to think of it in that manner. If you want to go in depth on fasting, like I said, Dr. Gundry wrote a really good book. I've read several of his books, but The Energy Paradox by Dr. Stephen R. Gundy, MD, he goes in depth into intermittent fasting. And I am not qualified to do in-depth intermittent fasting, that's not my specialty. As you can see with what I've demonstrated, I like to keep it a little simpler. But if you'd like to pursue that, definitely check out his book, The Energy Paradox, and you'll learn how to safely do that, which is also another reason why I don't teach really in-depth intermittent fasting, is because you need to get educated on it. You can't just jump into one meal a day. It's going to kick your ass. Yeah, he has a process, and you can find out how that works in The Energy Paradox. Okay, so let's move on to deep breathing, which I pair with the air element. So that's an easy metaphor anyone can get, right? We're literally breathing in air every day, and it sustains us. So, the problem is a lot of people have shallow breathing, and there's multiple reasons why that might become your reality, but to open up the breath is a healthy practice, and I've personally had really good experiences from deep breathing. My interest was piqued. I was studying Chinese Kung Fu, and in that martial art, you pair deep breathing with martial arts. And so anyways, I got into meditation through that, and I found just the simplest breath work exercises that I could do put me into a sense of calm that could not be shaken. And I literally had experiences in my life. I think you can read it, my story about this, in the 4 Elements for Great Health and Energy book that I wrote. But the short of it is, I had these experiences where people would confront me and they would be agitated and aggressive and wanting to probably fight me. But because I had such a good practice of calming breath work, I was unfazed. And what shocked me is that the other person, I mean, sure, right, they could have started a fight with me if they wanted to. But my point is, they came to me with this angry, agitated mood. And because I was practicing my deep breathing throughout the day, when they came up to me, it really didn't faze me. I was just like, oh, okay, this, my fellow employee here is pissed off at me. And I was able to respond to it in a calm manner and be like, okay, what do we need to do to fix this? But it was amazing to me because I saw that guy go from really pissed off and angry at me to just calming down and being like, okay, you're calm. I'm going to be calm about this. Let's find a solution. And it resolved. But several experiences I've had where deep breathing has helped a lot. And I wanted to mention too that, like, there's so many complex methods that you can learn. For instance, yogic breathing, qigong, and all sorts of modalities. Okay, there's all sorts of different breathing methods, but those things are complex. And if it's too complex, you're not going to do it. If you want complex, go for it. But for me, I've always found simple to be better for me personally. Doesn't mean there's no value. I know there's complex yogic breathing that intentionally puts you into almost a, what do you say, an oxygen deprivation place. And so, again, it's a form of hormesis. And so after you do that and then you normalize, your body's stronger. But personally, it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. And so I don't like doing that particular method. But so let's focus here on simple. My suggestion is just to breathe through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. And to slowly make those breaths longer. naturally, okay? Don't force it. Just slowly focus on making the breath longer and smoother. Additionally, you might focus on breathing from what the Chinese call the lower dantian, basically just below your belly button, lower, okay, rather than chest breathing, because that tends to fill you up with air more than if you were chest breathing. So that's something you can focus on, but keep it simple. Just say, I want to do a 2-minute practice this morning with my morning routine. And that's often the way I do it. I'm not religious about when I practice my deep breathing, but it's important to me. So I'll often do it when I meditate, or if I'm listening to some audio of affirmations, I will practice my deep breathing. And that usually happens in the morning when I'm waking up, my morning routine, or right before bed, before going to sleep, as it relaxes me and gets me ready to go to sleep. So, yeah, start simple. Try those things that I mentioned. Just 2 minutes. Focus on your breath. See how it makes you feel different. And then as you get a little bit more into it, I will say that the longer you're able to focus on your deep breathing, on meditation, any of these things, the more powerful it will become. So I don't want to say exactly, but 2 minutes is 2 minutes, right? Sure, it'll help. A little bit here and there will help. But if you, for instance, did maybe a 10-minute deep breathing exercise, that's going to be far more calming than a simple 2-minute. And that has been my experience in my life, so that's what I would promote. Just like anything, you can also get carried away. Certainly, unless you're a monk, you don't want to be deep breathing meditation all day long. That's, crazy. You can't accomplish your goals here in the world. But give it a go. So just like I share with fitness, consistency is key, right? So make it a habit. How do you do that? You make it a part of your morning routine. You make it a part of your evening routine. You can track it, just like you track your fitness goals. How many push-ups have you done this week to next week? Same thing with deep breathing. If you track something, how much time you're actually doing it, and they have apps that you can do this with, that helps because you can literally look at the, your chart or your app and see how much time you spent on it. And that's inspiring, just like your fitness goals. So lastly, I just want to bring up that some people have issues with snoring and breathing at night, sleep apnea, and it's a real condition to be taken seriously. But I did want to mention that if you do snore at night, you've had people tell you that you snore at night. There's, you can get sleep apnea tests if it's something that you're really concerned about. You wake up in the morning, you feel like you didn't get proper rest. That might be a part of the problem. But I did want to mention they do make these cheap devices that you can put into your nose, and it keeps your nasal passages open so that you won't have the snoring problem at night. So obviously we're talking about the air element. We're talking about breath work, right? So if you've got that going on at night, that's a serious problem because you're not getting the proper air breathing at night that you should be. So look into that. Additionally, the thing that kind of brought this up is I remember reading an article about one of my favorite bands when I was younger. I don't know if you know the band Pantera, metal band from Texas. Anyways, the drummer was talking about how he had such trouble with sleep quality and breathing at night that he actually had nasal reconstructive surgery done with his nose. so that he would breathe properly at night, and it fixed the problem for him. But it just seemed like a really extreme thing to have to do. But in his case, I suppose that was necessary, and it fixed his problem. So um, I just found that interesting. And my dad uses an APAP machine to help with his sleep apnea. My little brother has really bad snoring when he sleeps. And so I know it's an issue for many people, is what I'm saying. So when you realize you have something that's a problem, you need to attend to it. And so with the air element, we're focusing today on intentionally working on clearing our body, detoxing. We're working on fasting so that we give our bodies that jump start, that extra boost to actually get into detoxing mode and cellular repair. And then we're also talking about focusing on our deep breathing daily as a routine to calm and re-energize you every day. Okay, so I hope you got something from that. That is all I wanted to talk about with the air element for today. But just know that this is important. If just as important as healthy eating is for your energy levels, so too is detoxing, breathing, fasting. Opposites. Both of those two things are extremely beneficial. All right. Till next time.